All right, so we're diving deep today into Japan's seasonal cultural traditions.
Yeah, some fascinating stuff in here.
I was really struck by just how in tune Japanese culture is with the natural world, and these traditions really bring that to life, don't they?
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
and what's so interesting is they're not just, like quaint customs or anything. They're really deeply rooted in history, religion, agriculture, social values.
Yeah, it's like a window into the essence of Japanese culture, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to look at three big ones today. Hanami, that's the cherry blossom viewing, of course.
Hmm.
Then there's Obon, the time for honoring ancestors.
Yeah,
And Setsubun, which marks the changing of the seasons.
right.
These seem like kind of essential starting points for understanding all the other, richness of these traditions.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's start with Hanami. I mean, it's way more than just looking at pretty pink flowers, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the bigger picture, Hanami really reflects this deep appreciation for nature's beauty, but also like an understanding of its, fleeting nature.
Right.
And what's interesting too is just the sheer geographical spread of the cherry blossom season across Japan.
Right.
I mean, the country stretches, from subtropical to subarctic climates. So the blooms start as early as like late January down in Okinawa, and they don't reach Hokkaido until May.
It's like this wave of blossoms moving across the archipelago.
It is really.
And the sources even had like some estimated dates for 2025.
Yeah.
So Sapporo is looking at around April 24th, and that was marked as very early.
Mhm.
And then Tokyo's around March 24th, which is considered normal.
Yeah.
Seems like people are really tuned into these forecasts.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not just about the weather, it's a real cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's tracking it and celebrating it. And when the blossoms do finally appear, you see these traditions that are just so ingrained. The picnics during the day and then these enchanting nighttime viewings, often with paper lanterns,
Yeah.
to create this special atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
And then gatherings with family, friends, and colleagues. And of course, you can't forget the Hanami bento.
Ooh, the Hanami bento. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So we're talking like inari, sushi, onigiri, tamagoyaki, and even sakura mochi.
Hmm.
It's like a real taste of the season.
Definitely.
But, beyond the social aspect and the delicious food,
Mm.
there's a deeper cultural significance to Hanami, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I think this raises an important point about the values that are really embedded in the practice. You see themes of hope and new beginnings. There's a historical connection to agricultural cycles and even mountain deities.
Why?
And, it's really evolved from these elite gatherings, in the past to a tradition that's beloved by everyone now.
That's amazing.
And it beautifully embodies the concept of this poignant awareness of the ephemeral nature of beauty.
I love that.
Historically, the blooming of the cherry blossoms coincided with the time for planting rice seedlings.
Oh, wow.
So the beauty of the blossoms was really intertwined with these hopes for a bountiful harvest, connecting this aesthetic appreciation with something as fundamental as survival.
That gives it so much more depth.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Obon, which is the festival for honoring ancestors.
Right.
This sounds like a really meaningful time for families.
It is, and what's fascinating here is that strong emphasis on the spiritual link to our heritage.
Right.
It's a Buddhist festival where ancestral spirits are believed to return to visit their living relatives. And because of these historical calendar shifts, the celebrations occur at different times across Japan.
Okay.
So you have around July 15th in Tokyo in eastern Japan,
Hmm.
then around August 15th for most of the country. And then Cubon primarily in Okinawa and the Amami Islands, which in 2025 will be from September 4th to 6th.
So families are really making it a point to come together during these times. Then what are some of the key ways people observe Obon?
Well, you'll see families returning to their hometowns. They'll carefully clean the family graves and make offerings of food, flowers, and incense both at the graves and also at the household. But Sudan, that's a home Buddhist altar where ancestors are honored.
Right.
And then memorial services are often held. Families may set up a shushri-dana, which is like a temporary altar for the returning spirits.
Okay.
Welcoming fires called mukaibi are lit, and lanterns are hung. There's bonodori dances, which are these communal dances that have all these really cool regional variations.
I've seen videos of those. They look so fun.
They're amazing. And then finally, there are send-off rituals like okaribi, which are farewell fires, and tushunagashi, which is the releasing of floating lanterns onto water, symbolizing the spirit's return to the other world. So It's more than just remembrance. Obon really reinforces this interconnectedness of generations in Japanese society and this ongoing influence of ancestors on the present.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the source material even mentioned the Buddhist origin story involving Mukuen.
Right. What's significant about that legend is its focus on filial piety.
Hmm.
And if you look at the bigger picture, while Obon does involve spirits, the tone is one of reverence and remembrance. It's quite distinct from some other spirit-related festivals you might think of.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Setsubun, which marks the division of seasons. February 3rd is typical, but it can vary a little bit, right?
It can, and it's interesting because it has this historical connection to the Lunar New Year. So in 2025, it falls on February 2nd.
Okay.
And the central tradition, and maybe the most well-known, is mamamaki, the throwing of roasted soybeans.
Oeni wa soro fuku wa uchi. I love that.
Yeah.
Demons out fortune and so much energy there.
It's great. And you mentioned the custom of eating your age in beans plus one extra for good luck.
Of course, got to get that extra luck in.
Yeah, and temples and shrines often have these public ceremonies too, like at Sensoji Temple.
Oh, wow.
The mame or beans are thought to have this symbolic power to repel evil.
Right.
And what's fascinating is that deeper symbolism, the practice, has roots in a ritual called suina.
Okay.
And the sound of mame is also associated with repelling evil.
Interesting.
And the beans are roasted to symbolize their vitality.
Okay.
The oni or demons, they represent misfortune. And then you have ehumaki.
Beishmaki, yes.
This large, uncut sushi roll that's eaten in silence while facing the lucky direction, which in 2025 is west-southwest.
Okay.
And it's believed to bring good fortune if you can eat the whole roll without speaking.
That sounds like a challenge.
It can be. It's a relatively modern custom, though it became popular nationwide.
Huh?
Ideally, it contains 7 ingredients representing the 7 lucky gods.
Oh, wow.
And let's not forget Hiragi Iwashi.
Hiragi Iwashi.
So that's a sardine head pierced with holly leaves that's displayed at doorways to ward off evil spirits. This practice has roots in Onmudu, an ancient Japanese system of cosmology and divination.
Wow, that's getting deep.
It is. Some regions also have unique food customs, like eating Setsubun soba.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And if we kind of connect this to the bigger picture, Setsubun is really about ritually cleansing the old and welcoming in that fresh energy of spring,
That's a lovely way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these 3 traditions alone give such a, profound glimpse into Japanese culture, connecting people to nature, history, and community.
Yeah, definitely. And the sources you provided hinted at so many other fascinating observances throughout the year, too.
Right, like we could do a whole series on this.
Exactly.
It really makes you think about how our own cultures, mark these seasonal changes and honor our own heritage.
For sure.
Thanks for this insightful deep dive. It's been really fascinating.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I think what I'm going to take away from this is, how important it is to not just go through the motions of these traditions, but to really understand that deeper meaning behind them.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what will our listeners take away from this?
Yeah, good question.
Until next time.